Hi everyone, welcome to video number 5 in the beginner series for Unreal Engine 4. Naming conventions. What are they? Why do we use them? Naming conventions come into play when you want to find something quickly and easily. So this button here, you can change your panel. It adds a panel so you can quickly access all your folders. I do recommend turning this on. Naming conventions, let's go back to that. So if you, for example, m_ is the epic naming convention for materials. So if I type m_ while I'm in the content folder, the top level folder, it will show me every single material inside of my game or my folders. So if I have, for example, let's go to the start content folder, let's get rid of that. If I have materials in this one, and then in my player I have a material, so let's just create, and I call this, say, just player material. If I want access to this material from the content folder, if I do m_ that player material will not show up. If I rename that to m_ player mat, in my content browser I want to find material that's based on my player. There you go, I can find it. There is some documentation on naming conventions that I will add in the description below, but it's better to work with a initial prefix letter, so T for textures, M for materials, P for particles, SM for static meshes, SKM for skeletal meshes, WBP for a widget blueprint, which we'll come to in our UI video. But there are naming conventions for each of the type of asset that you will find in Unreal Engine. Delete that because we don't need that player material at the moment. So yeah, it's important to start off early with naming conventions so you can get used to them and be more aware of using them, because if you do get a job in the industry you will be expected to follow naming conventions, and if you have a head start on it, then great. There is a prefix, so let's call this a BP _ my player character, or there's the suffix of, say, _BP. It's up to you which one you want to put it. You can put it before, after. Different companies will have different ways of working, so just be aware that's what naming conventions are, and that's why we would use them. Something else we can do to manage our folders and games, example, would be adding a folder color. So let's set a color here. So game settings, we don't really want to use that folder, so let's make that a dark red. That for me would indicate that our game settings folder is complete. We don't need to add anything in there. Or so while you're working with your game, you could do possibly red for something that you have finished. As you can see here, I can add the same colour to all folders if I want to. I can pick a new colour, so let's say green for something that I'm working on now, and let's do like a traffic light system. Let's say an orange for something that we've worked on and maybe needs a little bit more work, but it isn't as important. So we can set colours. What we can also do is see drag and drop colours here to save. We can pick this new colour and drop it there, and now that colour picker will save that colour in this theme here. New theme, let's rename that to folders. So now we have a folder theme. So let's head into this one. I'm going to do these two for now. So you can see the folder theme will have these. So let's make a new theme, and we'll rename that to Blueprint. So now we can choose between the two themes, and we can pick a colour. So let's head into our player Blueprint. Now this here is our mouse input. So if you highlight all of your code that you've done for your mouse and hit C, you can add a comment around your code, and let's call this mouse input. And in the top right here, while we have the comment highlighted, we can change settings. So comment color, you can change it here manually. Click this white box. Now here you can see we have the theme manager, so if we wanted to, we could use the folders theme and use that orange, or we can choose the blueprints theme, and let's go with a bright red, and we'll drag that in there. We'll go with a green, drag that in there, go with a blue, drag that in there, and you can see that you can have different themes for different sections of code. So let's click on this blueprints theme, and because this is an input, let's make it red. Now this is keyboard input, so we could highlight that, hit C, make that red, call keyboard input first, and we can make that the same red. Now for me this code looks really messy. Clean, messy. You can see we've got wires crossing over. I don't like wires crossing over, and we can make this code look a lot nicer with a macro. A macro is a piece of code which doesn't need to be executed. So these white wires and white triangles are execute nodes. You need to pass a wire through to execute it, whereas a macro doesn't need to be executed, so we don't need an input. So we'll drag that over there. Output, we are going to create a vector of forward vector and another output of right vector. Now if I head into my event graph here, highlight all of this, Control and X to cut, head into my new macro, Control and V. Now if I zoom out a little, okay, so my macro I'm going to rename to vectors. So if I highlight all three of these, you can see the wires are all straight. If I hit Q, that will straighten those connections. Now this one, pull it forward, plug that in, plug that in. Now you can move these nodes around, make it look a bit neater if you want to. Compile and save, and this macro is now ready to use. So I'm happy with that. I can close that. Now this comment, if I drag this vectors in, you can see I have a forward vector which I can drag into there, and a right vector I can drag into there. Or if you hit Alt while you're hovering over a wire and click, it will delete the wire. I can drag this here like this. Control C, Control and V to copy and paste. And I want this to be the right vector. Now that looks neater, but we can neaten it up even more. Highlight a wire, double click, and you get a reroute node which allows you to drag a wire around. So I'm going to do one there, another one there, and then let's highlight these and pull it over that way, and then the same here, reroute node, Then there. Bring these back this way, and now you can see how much space we can save in our graph by just using a different type of code. So drag them over and use the, and if I highlight the comment, I can move all of the code at the same time. Now you've seen me create some variables there. In the next video we'll go over variables and what they are, but at the moment we just need to know how to keep our project clean and crisp and easy to use and read. So if I zoom out now, if we have code all over here, we can see where our keyboard input is and our mouse input is. You can drag these further away so you can see the bubbles. You can turn those bubbles off if you would like. So if we highlight comment, show bubble when zoomed, you can turn those off if you want. You can also colour the bubble, and the move mode, as you can see there, that will move everything by default, or you can click on the comment and it will just move the comment and not touch the code. Just use Ctrl-Z there to undo that change. Once you have everything where you want it, compile, save. So I'm going to remove that suffix of BP. So as I said, in the next one we are going to go through variables and what they are, just so we can learn about those. It'll be a lot shorter than this one. This one was setting up a character and how to code and your first line of codes and things like that. So the next one will be a lot shorter. We're just going to explain what variables are, how you create them, and the difference between getting and setting variables. Please comment if you need any help with anything, as I have explained a lot and sometimes it can be a lot more daunting than it seems. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.